What's up, everyone? Welcome to the What is Crypto podcast with your boy Nye. Bitcoin peaked in December of 2017, damn near $20,000. And ever since then, it just went down and down and down, bottoming out in 2018 at over $3,000. But recording this, we're sitting around $7,100. That's a far cry from $20,000, damn near a third. So, for over 2 years, Bitcoin has just been dropping, not showing really big returns unless you bought at the $3,000 point, and then you doubled your money. But what if you bought at $16,000, $17,000, $18,000, $19,000, and you put $19,000 cash into one Bitcoin to 2 years later, not ever seeing anything close to that again? This, my friends, is what we call a bear market. And our boy Nye sits down with our good friend Neyma to talk and hopefully figure out what we can do about it, or have some light at the end of our tunnel with new all-time highs for Bitcoin. But before we get into that conversation, don't forget to go to whatiscrypto.com, join our social medias there, follow us on Twitter, join our Facebook group, go to iTunes, go to Spotify, go to wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you're subscribed, leave us a 5-star rating and a great comment. It helps us stay visible. It helps us keep putting out this great content for people to learn about the crypto space, cryptography, Bitcoin, blockchain tech, and the world of tomorrow. So enjoy this conversation wherever you're listening to this podcast, and we will see you after the show.
What we really want to sit down and talk about is markets, and specifically like what to do in these situations when we end up in the middle of a bear market, or we end up in not even a bear market, but a stale market. Give me like an overview. What's your overview of the market right now? What does it look like? And what's your opinion on what's going on right now?
Well, you see a lot of people who are, I guess, quote unquote investors or have quote unquote funds. These are just people, they got lucky on an icon flip a couple of years ago and had a ton of money. But or like they were chasing ICOs around. I'm seeing a lot of people that I know in the crypto space. I don't want to say capitulating, but there's really no way for most people to make money right now. Service providers, nobody's going and buying their services. Investors, I use the word investors in quotes because they're more kind of just like coin flippers. There's really no coins for them to go flip unless they want to chase, the latest Binance IEO to zero sum. And projects like my project Unification, we're doing great, but we're running it like a tech company. We're doing tech development, we're doing enterprise sales, we're doing systems integration. It's really boring stuff. It's not interesting when you talk about it on crypto Twitter. So you're really seeing capitulation where unless you're just like really deep into the tech and have a purpose, like people just don't have anything to do in the market. There's literally nothing to do. Maybe if you're a high frequency trader, you could, trade Bitcoin up and down, up and down, and up and down. But that's a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of people. There's just no way right now for people to go and make money. And that's kind of, I guess, the definition of a bear market. Any effort you're putting in is not bringing rewards.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily even really feel heavily like a bear market because we had this big move up in the beginning of the year, but it feels more like a stale market. It feels like the activity is lower and people are getting more and more depressed because we're not seeing insane movements and things like that. What's a good recommendation for people to stay focused and stay active during this time? Or what are you doing?
I'm just digging down, man. I'm like, I have a real company to run. So I'll tell you what we're not doing. We're not putting a lot of effort right now into token marketing. So we're building out our mainnet. We're signing up paid enterprise clients. When I say paid enterprise clients, these are people not in blockchain. These are like real companies that need blockchains. We're not like doing active spots with influencers. We're not going and posting all over Telegram groups. We're not doing big programs on exchanges and listings and these sort of things. We're not spending any money on that. And the reason is because that kind of stuff literally is not bringing any returns whatsoever right now. In terms of actual business growth, we're doing fine. But in terms of people buying our token, there's really nobody buying any tokens unless they're like a top token already and then they can just actively trade it with massive liquidity. There's literally nobody out there buying tokens. And that's just kind of where it is, unless you're a top one.
Exactly. I agree, man. I agree. I mean, I'm just trying to stay patient at this point. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to stay patient and make sure that I don't burn out during the times where nothing's really going on.
And there is nothing. I mean, there literally is nothing going on. If you're not you, but if somebody's thesis is, basically buy a token and then at a later date, either, sooner or later, sell that token at a higher price, there's nothing for them right now unless they want to deal in like, top 10 coins. There's just not an opportunity for that right now. Go take any token and go try to market sell $5,000 of it and watch what happens. There's just no buyers. And that's okay. This is actually okay for the market, and we're okay with it. And when I go and talk to other project founders, they're okay with it as well, because if you have a good product, it doesn't really matter, because these things are going to catch up. We're in the midst of a market cycle right now, and even though Bitcoin and Ethereum's price is higher than it was at the beginning of the year, I think what's actually happened is a lot of money and a lot of momentum has been cleaned out. So even at the beginning of the year, there was Bitcoin was like at $3,000, Ethereum was like at $80. It's twice that right now, or something like that. But people still were having momentum carry over. They still had stashes, right? And then you had this summertime run we had, and that went out, and that basically cleaned all the momentum out, and now it's pushing back down. Honestly, I think it's just going to go lower and lower and lower, which is okay. And we need a lot more people to capitulate out of the market now, and that goes and clears way for good innovation. The best way I could describe it is, let's say you have a beautiful woman, and she's well-bred princess, well-educated, beautiful, elegant, and like her father says to her, you have to go find your husband in that bar right there. And she walks into the bar, and it's a bunch of like screaming beef heads, with like bad music playing, and them playing beer pong and shouting. That's not the guy that she wants to marry, but that's all she can see. The guy that she wants to marry is the guy going and sitting quietly in the back of the bar, but she can't see him or hear him because of all the noise. So that beautiful girl is the adoption of blockchain that we're all really looking for. But we need to get rid of, for lack of a better word, the scammers, pumpers, and shitcoiners. They need to fully capitulate, and then we come in with a real foundation and really show that girl true adoption of blockchain. Sorry, that kind of was a weird example, but I hope you got it.
No, I get what you're putting out. I mean, I think we're in that, like, headed in that direction, but in your opinion, what does that even look like? Because there's so many people that have so many different visions and ideas of what quote unquote adoption looks like. People are always talking about, oh, it's going to be a game, oh, it's going to be this very evident use of it, like blatantly just being utilized in the public. And there's so many different ideas, supply chain, all these different things that people think is going to be the heavy use case of adoption. What's your opinion on all that? Where do you think it's headed?
Adoption happens in two ways. One is a global universal supercomputer. So what, Ethereum or Ethereum 2.0 or sharding or whatever the hell it's supposed to be. And honestly, I don't think that's going to be solved. I think a singular global supercomputer working like Ethereum works, with like perfect sharding without having to give something up, is not possible with current technology. That might be, in a future technological cycle. So the idea of Ethereum 2.0 or whatever the Ethereum guys are building and raising money for, I think that's literally going to go nowhere. So it's a world of small chains, honestly, Nye. It's a world of side chains, state channels, private chains, hybrid chains. And if you want to know what real adoption looks like, just imagine this. Imagine like the owner of Fortnite, okay, suddenly goes and declares that all of their Fortnite bucks are now tokenized and on chain. And they go and do, I guess, a semi-private chain. Nobody really cares if it's private or public. I mean, all y'all go and trade XRP, and that has precisely one validator. So I think really nobody cares about centralization. But let's say that somebody went and put all the Fortnite bucks, not somebody, the owners of Fortnite, put all the Fortnite bucks on a blockchain. Maybe they had a game consortium where they had 10 or 20 validators, so it's not just them. And then people could go trade the Fortnite bucks and the skins on chain like that. Now that would be freaking cool. And that's a real life adoption of blockchain. Now, on the same note, I was scrolling through crypto Twitter today, actually, and somebody said they went and raised all this money to go build a Fortnite-like game, and they're going to put the currency on blockchain. I'm like, well, that's complete bullshit, because nobody wants to play your Fortnite-like game just because it's on blockchain. What you really need is you need actual companies already doing things with user bases and then tokenizing them. It's the same thing. I had this conversation in one of our groups a couple weeks ago about ticketing. How many ticketing blockchain startups can you count? I can count at least like 8 of them that I've heard of, where they want to do ticketing on the blockchain and, have the payment go through some token or whatever, or some speculative currency. That's all wrong. The way to do it is you literally get a major festival like Burning Man or Coachella to partner, like really partner, not like bullshit blockchain partner, but actually like really partner with a blockchain project and force all of their existing user bases onto the blockchain. So real adoption, Nye, comes from people with existing active user bases, like real user bases, and then forcing them onto the chain. I mean, Binance is a beautiful example. Binance had a retail product, which is an exchange, and then they had this coin, BNB, and they forced people to use BNB because it was a discount. Okay, it's like a loyalty coin. So you took an existing retail user base. These people are going to use you no matter what, but then you give them an incentive to use a coin, and that's when actual adoption happens, and that's why people use BNB, because they get a discount on fees. That's where it works.
Hey everyone, this question, how do you use your crypto in your daily life, is sponsored by BMag. BMag, they write stories that inform, influence, and inspire the global blockchain and cryptocurrency community. So, Neyma, how do you use cryptocurrency in your daily life?
A very good question, Matthew. Honestly, right now, there's not a lot of fundamental usage in terms of crypto. How crypto is being used right now, and if you're talking about a coin, is for things that are effectively speculation or investing based. The notion of a coin being used as a utility just really isn't happening right now. So a lot of people currently will be involved in numerous staking protocols, which effectively means that you're lending coins to people that are using those coins for other things, usually for complicated tax related stuff. That's one current use case of crypto. Other than that, the only people that really use crypto right now for payments are people that basically have more crypto than they know what to do with. So, when the whole boom was happening in 2017, people were using, Ethereum or Bitcoin to pay for everything because, quite honestly, they had more Ethereum and Bitcoin than they ever knew how to spend based on the current market price, so they figured they might as well spend it. But for people that are on a budget, crypto really isn't good as an exchange of value. Maybe it's good in countries where the inflation rate is higher than the speculation rate of crypto, but based on how it moves around right now, it could be a little bit unstable. Now, that being said, how do I intend to use, or how do I hope that crypto would be used in the future in my daily life? I honestly think the end game of crypto is we're going to have things like Bitcoin and whatever coins you say that are effectively going to be, holder speculation vehicles. They're going to be a thing people can effectively gamble on. And that's fine, okay? Then on the other side, we're going to have things that are more or less stable coins. And I think stable coins are great. And I don't think, and I don't know if I really want to include DAI in this, because I think DAI is a hack, but that's another discussion. Things like USDC, things that are one-to-one equivalent with a US dollar or whatever national currency they are, and they're effectively digitized. So let's imagine that USDC, for example, was fully trusted and accepted by most of the world's population. We could do college loans in USDC. We could do REITs. We could do real estate investment trusts in USDC. We could do venture capital investing all through the blockchain. So we had our bull run of 2017, and you had all these shit coins, for lack of a better term, saying, oh, this is going to be Airbnb on the blockchain or something using this coin, and this coin was highly volatile. That model doesn't work. It's just literally a made up model that a lot of people made a lot of money from, but it's not practical. The way that would practically work, if I say, oh, I have Airbnb on the blockchain, and we're transacting with a stable currency. That's when things get very, very interesting, because people don't want to have to go and gamble. People don't want to have to go gamble on, for lack of a better word, a shitcoin when they're going and getting their Airbnb. They want a stable currency that they can go and transact in. So something like that, with fully stable coins being used as utility for different things, that could be very, very interesting. The second full usage of coins on the blockchain would be, and I think this also goes with there, is as transactional vehicles and markers for data. So you could go with online personal data sovereignty, self-sovereign identity, where I actually own my identity. I can, all these people that collect advertising and cookies on me and making money on that, I can go and get paid a point in that. Now again, if you try to put that onto a speculative currency, then it just doesn't work. Okay, you need to have a stable currency. So I think really stable currencies in one hand are the future. They're going to basically be pegged to a US dollar or yen or whatever they're pegged to. So you know what it's going to be. And then on the other hand, you're going to have, gambling vehicles like Bitcoin. And I think both are good use cases, and as long as we clearly define them. I think the quote unquote meme utility token, as we kind of describe it right now, isn't really going to be a long-term play.
Yeah, man, I think my biggest pet peeve is exactly what you just said. It's when people come in and they say, I'm going to make this similar or the same game as something that's already popular, but I'm going to do it with Bitcoin or with blockchain technology supporting it, and everyone's going to use it. I mean, I think it's literally the stupidest, least creative concept and ability in our entire industry. Like if we're going to create something that has blockchain backing it, it needs to be new, it needs to be unique, it needs to be valuable, it needs to be fun. Whatever industry you're trying to penetrate, it needs to have the characteristics of that industry and of a successful game in that industry already, but it can't be the exact same thing, man. That's so fucking annoying.
Well, it's not even that it can't be the same thing. Like literally, your shit needs to succeed even if it didn't have blockchain. That's kind of what everybody's talking about. And I don't know if you knew this about me, but before blockchain, I was responsible for a lot of direct response marketing and driving retail traffic to web properties. Like we must have driven hundreds of millions of clicks to various web properties over our careers. So we know how to drive traffic to certain types of applications with certain types of audiences. And I've talked to some other founders in the industry, and it's absolutely ridiculous because some of these guys are sitting on 10, 20, $30 million, and they have these things built out, and they literally have no idea how to get users, whether it be, retail users or developers or anything. Is like literally they have all these, and then there's other projects which, have just a little bit of money, which has a ton of users. So I think the fact that it has blockchain in the business description really should be irrelevant. I think investors, and I'll use the word investors now without quotes, like actual real investors, people who know what they're doing and aren't just chasing a coin flip. I think they need to analyze teams and investments more like in the traditional startup realm, like, can this idea get users? Okay, how are they going to get users? Because the reality is, crypto's kind of got into meme category where I read something a couple of weeks ago. It was a guy, he was saying that when he got into the industry, he thought that crypto was technology, but after being in the industry for some time, he understood that crypto's money. And I think for this to go anywhere, it needs to be really clearly defined. Are we investing in money? Are we investing in a new coin people are financially engineering and pretending it's the blockchain behind it? Or are we investing in actual technology? So this capitulation we're having is good. I think once everybody continues to lose money and have no hope, just investing in coins that are financially engineered, then you're going to get real investors in there with real investment theses. This is like, okay, what's the product? Are they going to get users? How are they going to get users? How many users are they going to get? How do they make money from these users? What's my exit strategy? Those are the questions investors now ask. The questions investors now ask is, how early in the round did I get in? Who's market making and how quick can I flip? It's a totally different thesis now.
Yeah, man, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. The main question that everybody always wants to know is how much longer is this wild, wild west going to last? I personally think we saw the peak of the wild, wild west in 2017. I don't think it'll ever be that volatile and that crazy ever again. I think we're still in it to a degree, but in your opinion, like, what's the timeline on this look like? How much longer do we have to sit around, watch people trade coins and do all this stuff until you think we have an actual valid use case and this technology actually being used? Or do you even think that blockchain is the final version? Do you think that maybe this was just the test run and something better is going to come out?
I think fully public global blockchains are just a little test concept. I honestly think the end game is going to be little universes of private and semi-private blockchains. For example, Fortnite company issuing their own coin and then maybe putting all of their partner games into this coins consortium. Tokenization of assets, ERC 721 style, security tokenization of real estate, co-investing with automatic dividends through smart contracts, DeFi compound interest lending, internal supply chains among consortiums. These are all things that are going to be used and are going to be fantastic. But, whether it's going to be the wild, wild west again, if when Bitcoin goes and hits like, I'd say 30,000, 35,000 and is going up rapidly, a bunch of fools are going to come in, and then all the fools who have still been around are going to extract the new fools' money. But that's just what it is. That's how life works. Is that going to lead to innovation? No, it's going to lead to a few people getting rich and a lot of people not. I mean, if you go talk to people who were involved, not us, not a people on the inside that are here, but like half of Korea, for example, or many countries who got involved in 2017, 2018, people lost hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoins and ICOs and all these things. So when you have this small inside community that we represent saying, oh, it was so great, it was so great, it was so great, that was actually like a wrecked event for the majority of the people whose paths crossed with cryptocurrency. And we need to be aware of that. It's a complete zero-sum game. It was a wealth transfer from a bunch of Korean grandmas into like guys that were just early. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty interesting. So I've restructured the podcast and I brought it into a light where I really think that the goal for what I want to bring here is to help beginners out, man. So if you have one piece of advice for someone who's coming into crypto, coming into the industry, like what would that be?
If they want to, like, I guess, quote unquote, invest, buy Bitcoin and don't look at it. That's it. Buy some Bitcoin, figure out how not to lose your private keys. I mean, just keep it on Coinbase for Christ's sake. And if it goes down, don't sell it. And then come back when it's at 30,000 and sell it. That's pretty much incredible, foolproof financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but if people ask me what to do, that's what I tell them.
Awesome, my man. I appreciate it, dude. It's always good to have you on the podcast to chat and dive into good stuff. You always got the insights, man. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun, man. We'll see you soon at the next spot, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for listening to this episode. You know what? I love conversations like this. For do your own research, what I want you to do is I want you to go and look at bear markets. Go back to 2010 and look at all of the highs and all the lows of Bitcoin and how many times it has went to all-time highs, how many times it dropped down, losing, say, 70%, 80%, and how long it took to recover. I want you to do the same thing in the traditional markets. Go to Wall Street, go pull up the history, the many years of history that they have available to you online right now, and look at how many times it went to peaks and how many times you saw valleys. How many times you can think of, put yourself in other people's shoes, that they put in money at the all-time high and had to wait years before they saw just to break even. And also look at all of the new peaks to new all-time highs throughout history and think, is this really the end of Bitcoin? Or will we see new all-time highs? Remember, this show is for educational purposes. This is not financial advice. Do your own research, and we'll see you in future episodes of What is Crypto with your boy Nye.